Good morning, everyone, and welcome to this Metro Inner Development Assessment Panel for Tuesday, the 23rd of December 2025. Declare the meeting open at 9:31 a.m. And in doing so, I acknowledge we are hosting this meeting on the traditional land of the Whadjuk people of the Noongar Nation, and we acknowledge the Aboriginal people as the traditional custodians of Western Australia and pay our respects to elders past and present and the ongoing connection between people, land, waters and community. The meeting will be run in accordance with the DAP Standing Orders 2025 and DAP Regulations 2011. The meeting is being recorded and live streamed on the DAP website. Panel members may refer to technical advice throughout the meeting to assist them in considering the information before them. Now introduce the panel members. My name is Karen Hyde and I am the presiding member today. To my left in the room, Francesca Lafanti, Deputy Presiding Member. Further to my left, Dale Page, Specialist Member. And in the room for the Town of Cambridge, Mayor Gary Mack. And online for the Town of Cambridge, Deputy Mayor Ben Mays. Also online, we have Councillor Ben Kunzi for the City of Canning and also Mayor Patrick Hall for the City of Canning. Welcome, everyone. Item 2, apologies. Councillor Kate Barlow, Town of Cambridge. Item 3, noting of minutes. Minutes of previous meeting are available on the DAP website. We'll now move to Part B of our agenda for the Town of Cambridge. And in the first instance, a declaration of due consideration. Panel members need to have considered all the documentation contained within Part B of the agenda and Part B related information. Could I see a show of hands, please, to say that we've duly considered all information? Thank you. Yes, all have given due consideration. Next, we move to disclosures of interest. We've received one from Councillor Kate Barlow, a proximity interest as she lives over the road from the development site, so she is not sitting in this meeting. Could I check with our local government DAP members, was this application at a briefing or a meeting?
Not that I can recall.
No. No. Okay, thank you. Are there any other disclosures of interest from panel members? No, no disclosures of interest. We'll then go to item 3 for the application, which is for lot 800, 12 Salvado Road, Subiaco, for radiation oncology clinic addition to the existing hospital. And we have one presenter today, Callum Thatcher from Element Advisory. We've received your information and read that. So you've got 3 minutes to draw our attention to the key points, Callum, and I'll let you know when you're close to time.
Thank you very much. Good morning, panel members. Thank you for the opportunity to address item 3.1 this morning. I promise to try and keep this as succinct as possible. We're representing Icon Group, who are seeking to construct a radiation oncology facility at St John of God, Subiaco. The works primarily consist of 2 bunkers, which will house linear accelerators for radiation therapy. The proposal also includes an internal fit out of South Block, which will provide a combination of administrative services, consulting rooms and patient support services. The associated works are best defined within the hospital land use definition, which is consistent with the underlying medical zone under the town's local planning scheme number 1. Whilst the bunkers are externally located, they're positioned internally to the hospital and are not seen from the view of the public. Therefore, visual and streetscape considerations are not required to be addressed or considered in any level of detail. In respect to the car parking aspects, the fit-out works are replacing existing consulting suites, so there's no major net change in car parking, noting the hospital provides more than 1,700 car parking bays across the site. To aid the town in its assessment, 2 sub-consultant reports were submitted relating to acoustic and waste. The acoustic report assessed noise-sensitive receptors, including internally to the hospital, as well as surrounding commercial and residential properties. The acoustic report determined, given the insulation of the bunkers, that the noise criteria will be met. The waste management plan demonstrated how waste will be stored, transferred and collected within the site. This also ties into the broader waste management strategy prepared for St John of God, Subiaco. In summary, waste will be collected from a loading dock on McCourt Street immediately east of the subject site. We believe the proposal is consistent with the applicable planning framework and the importance of critical health infrastructure. We'd also like to thank the town's officers for their positive recommendation and processing the joint application in a timely manner. Thank you for your time.
Lovely, thank you very much, Callum. I'll open for questions from panel members. I might start with Deputy Mayor Ben Mays online. Did you have any questions of the presenter?
No, thank you.
Thank you. In the room, Mayor Mack?
Yeah, look, I understand the word bunker is being used, and that's not unusual in terms of radiation oncology because it's got thicker walls to protect people from the radiation, the leakage of potential radiation from the treatment to the patient. So and how are the walls extra, what's the extra thickness and protection with the walls?
Yeah, so they're 1.5 metres wide, so they're quite, and they're full concrete. So I suppose the word bunker is probably not the best term because it's obviously above ground, but it's the insulated aspect of the oncology is why it's referred to as a bunker. Yeah.
And in terms of, I understand that the radiation that the patient receives is electronically generated. Is there any other residual radiation waste in terms of from, say, gowns the patient wear or anything like that, or is that just kind of, it's just so targeted that's not an issue?
Correct, that's right. Yeah. So there's no residual waste from it. It's all being dealt with on site. So.
Thank you. Member Page, any questions?
Just a question. Do you have any comments about the validity period suggested by advice note?
No, I'm comfortable with that. They're looking to start basically straight away. So
you've got a contractor ready to go?
Correct, yeah. So we were working with Hutchison Builders from over east, and they've basically been project managing this. So they're effectively ready to start works straight as soon as possible on the site.
Thank you.
Member Lafante, did you have questions?
No.
Okay. Thank you. I don't have any questions either at this point, Callum. Thank you. But we do now, members, have Nick Barker, is it?
Backer.
Backer, pardon me. Nick Backer from the town, available for questions as well. So, Deputy Mayor Mays, did you have any questions of the city officer?
No, nothing from me, thank you.
Thank you. Mayor Mack, did you?
Nothing from me, thank you.
Member
Yes, please, Nick, and it's just about the validity period. So you've included the validity period as an advice note on this recommendation and not as a condition, which is more standard. Could you explain why you've handled it that way?
The reasoning for that, I'm unaware. So if that has been included and should be bumped up as a condition, the town's not going to have any issue with that. It was really just administrative. So either way, it's not going to impact the town.
Okay, thank you for that. And then just, I think we're aware, but if you could just explain more broadly for anybody that might be watching online and for somebody who might want to see the future record of this meeting, could you walk us through your reasoning for the inclusion of condition 1 and advice note 5 as they are currently worded?
Condition 1, that's a standard condition the town often puts on development applications. Just really is not much to explain about that one, really.
Probably more advice note 5 as it relates to that condition.
Not standard. So this, I believe we've discussed before at a previous item we've had at the DAP. So this has arisen from a legacy item at the town where we had issues resulting in things being amended throughout different amended building permits and things like that. So this is just something that we do put on all of our approvals. Again, this one being an advice note, just a bit more background as to why condition 1 is included, obviously. But the reason for that is just issues we've had with inconsistent information coming in when there's amendments, and this one and this application has quite a few stages to it, or this development as a whole. And so it's just to capture those things and give you the background.
Okay, so where do you draw the line on that? If your building permit plans come in and there is the most minor of deviations, where do you draw the line? Because the way this is worded now is if things are off by a few millimeters, you'd need a further approval. So is there any pragmatism required to that?
It's generally just the 3 tests that there's any departure that would cause a non-compliance with our scheme policy, or if it's residential R codes, whether the plans have changed so substantially they're going to impact amenity, surrounding properties, and the final test was whether any legislation has changed in that time. So it's really they're the 3 things. So we wouldn't be looking at millimeters. We generally look at these things if there's no additional non-compliance or any amenity impacts, then we don't require them to go through DA stage again.
Thank you.
Thank you. Member Lafante, any questions of Nick?
No.
Okay, thank you. Nick, just one from me. Condition 5, which relates to the acoustic report and stating that the development must at all times comply with the noise regulations. Normally something like that relates to other regulations or legislation would appear as an advice note. Is there a particular reason that is?
No, again, you're correct. That could be pushed down to an advice note.
Okay.
Yeah, we have gone through this with you guys previously, and it should have been carried over this time. So yeah, it will be happy for it to be bumped down.
All right, thank you. If there are no further questions of Nick, then we will go to the item. And we have a responsible authority report, which recommends that we approve this application subject to conditions and advice notes. So I'm seeking a mover, please, for that as the primary motion. Thank you. Mayor Mack moves, seconded. Member Page, thank you very much. Mayor Mack, would you like to speak to the item?
Yeah, look, I would. There's been a medical facility on this site since, I think, 1895 and a hospital since 1898. And it causes our local planning scheme 1 and of course our local planning scheme 2, which is being advertised until the 30th of January. And so this is so John and God's facility is a key private medical facility within Perth or indeed the Western Australia region. The addition of an oncology service, 2 bunkers as it's described, it meets the needs of the community as the community getting older and cancer is becoming more and more common medical condition. So it's embedded within the current footprint of the development. There's, I think, the noise issues that are addressed in the report, and I think it's insignificant. The waste issues has been addressed. There's no radioactive waste or anything like that to manage on site. And the parking, not only is there 1,800 parking on site, but there's also parking surrounding the street parking that we control, and also the parking, the Wilson's parking just on the corner of the court and Rye Parade, I think it is. And so I'm satisfied this will have negative impact on parking, negative impact on the community. And at this stage, unless I hear a countervailing argument, a substantive one, I see no issue with it.
Thank you very much. Member Page is seconded. Would you like to speak to the motion?
Yes, thank you, presiding member. So I too am happy to support, but before speaking to the substantive, I'd like to move a couple of amendments. Yes. The first of which is deletion of advice note 1 and inclusion as a new condition 1, but also with a validity period of 4 years.
And I think then the remainder will be renumbered, and that will have a knock-on effect, I think, to one of the other advice notes, which refers to the current condition 1. So that's just an administrative aspect. So that's moved by Member Page. Is that seconded? Thank you, Member Lafante. Member Page, did you wish to speak to that?
Yes, very briefly. Look, it is common to include the validity period as a condition of the approval rather than an advice note. And although there is intent to commence the development as soon as possible, a validity period of 4 years aligns with that recommended by most other local governments and with the DAP regulations. And that extended validity period will ensure no further approval is needed from the DAP should the approval lapse due to any unforeseen delays. Doesn't sound like there will be any, but you just never know. So it's just really an insurance.
Thank you very much. Member Lafanti, did you wish to speak to that
No, I
amendment?
concur with those comments.
Thank you. Other speakers on this amendment? If not, let's put that to the vote. Those in favour of amendment 1? Unanimous. Thank you. Still with you, Member Page.
Thank you. The second is the issue that you raised, presiding member, the deletion of condition 5, which relates to the need for compliance with the noise regulation and inclusion instead as an advice note.
Thank you. I'm happy to second that. Did you wish to speak further
Oh,
on?
just very briefly, this requirement is a given. It's covered under separate legislation. It's therefore not required or appropriate as a planning condition and more appropriate as an advice note.
Thank you. I concur with you. Don't wish to say anything further. Other speakers on amendment 2? If not, I'll put that to the vote. Those in favour? That's unanimous. Thank you. Still with you, Member Payne.
Thank you. Oh, look, this is in my view, a straightforward application for additions to an existing hospital facility. As the Mayor indicated, has been there for many, many years. The additions are completely internal to the site. They don't alter the height or the setbacks of the hospital, and they don't require additional parking. Technically an additional bay, but the actual requirement is not there. And they don't alter the access arrangements. So given that, the development won't have any impact on neighbours, the streetscape or the surrounding network. It also aligns with the current and draft planning scheme and the more detailed local development plan that applies to the site. So very happy to support.
Thank you. Other speakers on the substantive motion, for or against? Deputy Mayor Mays? No?
No.
Member Lafanti?
I will speak to it. I am totally supportive of this proposal. I would echo the comments that from my perspective, it is actually quite a minor development in the overall context and form of the existing development on that site and use of that site. This proposal enhances the specialised medical services provided from the site. It's consistent with the it aligns with the planning framework as well as the zoning and relevant policies. And as already indicated, the site has a long association with the provision of medical services. From my perspective, this will has no impact on the surrounding land uses or road network, and therefore I am fully supportive of this proposal.
Thank you, Member Lafanti. I will speak briefly. I too concur with other speakers and in support of approving this. I too have looked at any impact and can find none of any significance on surrounding land uses or neighbouring properties, and find that it is compatible not only with the objectives of the current planning scheme, but also the draft planning scheme as well, and also compliant with local planning policies. So I think it's a development which can be supported and as we have amended it. Refer back to the mover. Mayor Mack, did you wish right reply and close debate? Let us put the matter to the vote. The substantive as amended, those in favour? That's a unanimous decision overall. Thank you very much. Just to close out this part of the agenda, we have nothing at Form 2 to consider and no Section 31 reconsiderations. I take this opportunity to thank Mayor Gary Mack and Deputy Mayor Ben Mays and the local government officers for attending. I wish you a very pleasant and peaceful break.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Whilst we change things around in the room for the next item. Thank you. To go. All right. Welcome to part C of the meeting for the City of Canning. In the first instance, I'd like to welcome Councillor Ben Lindsay and Mayor Patrick Hall, our local government DAP members from the City of Canning, to the panel. Panel members need to have considered all the documentation in part C of the agenda and part C related information. Could I please see a show of hands to confirm this? Thank you. Due consideration's been given by all. Next, we look at item 2, disclosures of interest. Could I check with the local government members, was this application before you at a briefing or at a meeting?
No, it hasn't, Chair.
Thank you very much. Are there any other declarations of interest? No, none today. Thank you. So we move to the item for Form 1 DAP application, lot 64, number 37, Vulcan Road, Canning Vale, industrial development, upgrade to existing concrete batching plant. And we have one presenter today, Amanda Butterworth from Allarding and Associates, in support of the application. If you'd like to come forward, Amanda, and you have a PowerPoint for us, I believe. Thank you. You've been given 3 minutes to make your presentation, so you'll draw our attention to the key points.
Yes.
And I'll remind you when you are close to time, when you're ready.
Thank you. Thank you, presiding member, panel members, Mr. Mayor and councillors. I represent Heidelberg in regard to item 3.2. I have Rachel McSkimming here with me, and we also have Russell Petrel online, I hope, on Zoom today. Our application seeks to upgrade the existing concrete batching plant at 37 Vulcan Road, Canning Vale. A concrete batching plant has operated from the site for more than 40 years. The land is suitably zoned industrial under the MRS and industry under the City of Canning scheme. Heidelberg's plant in East Perth is required to cease operations at the end of 2027. And as the Canning Vale plant is one of the replacement plants for East Perth, we need to upgrade the Canning Vale plant to accommodate the volume of concrete presently produced at East Perth. We support the officer recommendation of approval, but request minor modifications to the conditions as detailed in this presentation. Concrete batching plant receives stock of sand, aggregate and cement. The sand and aggregate are delivered to the underground bins. The cement is received in a pressurised transfer from a delivery truck direct into silos. And the cement, sand and aggregate are weighed out and emptied into a weighting agitator truck in the loadout structures where materials are mixed. Water is added. Further water is added at the slump stands until the desired consistency of concrete is achieved, and then concrete is delivered to site. The application itself includes new silos, a new second loading bay in a loadout structure, new air filtration equipment, additional water pits and modification to the storage bins. Accompanying the application is an updated environmental management plan, which has responded to the findings of an independent audit. The transport impact statement also supports the application. In terms of location, the closest residence is 450 metres from the boundary to boundary and 500 metres from the house to the plant infrastructure. As you can see from the images, the land between the plant and the dwelling includes row highway, whaleback golf course and extensive vegetation. The planning report specifically states that it's intended to retain 2 existing trees. The plan set provided showed vegetation that either died some years ago or was removed in consultation with the city. I will seek revision to conditions to refer to a plan that we have recently added, which clearly shows the 2 trees to be retained. We seek to modify the list of plans under condition 2 to delete the existing plan view plan and replace it with a new plan titled Existing Plan View and Existing Vegetation Revision 2 dated December 2025, and that plan shows those 2 existing trees. We also seek to modify condition 12, which refers to the retention of the 2 trees, and for that condition to specifically refer to the trees detailed in the plan entitled Existing Plan View and Existing Vegetation Revision 2 dated December 2025. The upgrade provides the opportunity to introduce improvements to the plant, such as a larger water pit for on-site water recycling and improved air filtration. Given the industrial zoning of the property, the distance to the nearest premises being in the vicinity of 500 metres from the plant infrastructure to the dwelling and the ready access to regional roads, we consider that the plant is an appropriate location to provide an increased supply of concrete when Heidelberg East Perth is required to cease operations. Accordingly, we consider the application is capable of approval and warrants approval, subject to conditions 2 and 12 being modified. We accept all other conditions in the RAR. we're available to answer questions. I also have Rachel McSkimming here, who's the Development Manager of Heidelberg, and we have Russell Petrel online, I hope, who's the Supply Chain Manager for Heidelberg, who can answer any operational questions.
Thank you very much. If we can clear the screen and then we can see our elected members online. I will invite questions of the presenter and other members of the applicant team. I'll ask first of all, Mayor Hall, did you have any questions of the applicant?
Not of the applicant. I have questions for our own officers a little later on. Thank you, Chair.
Yes, thank you. Councillor Kunze, did you have questions of the applicant? Oh, sorry, we can't hear your sound.
Sorry, no, thank you, Chair. No questions.
All right, thank you. Members in the room, Member Page, questions of the applicant?
Just one, please. So condition 10 requires you to demonstrate that the activities comply with the noise regs.
Yes.
And condition 11 requires you to demonstrate you can manage dust appropriately, both within 90 days. So have you identified any contingency actions that you would need to take or that you could take if either of those reports or plans show that there are exceedances or issues?
The environmental management plan that's in place presently there was an independent audit undertaken for that environmental management plan, and then there was further subsequent modifications made to that environmental management plan based upon the audit. And the audit identified that the plant presently satisfies all the relative legislative requirements in regard to dust, in regard to noise, and other matters. The improvements to the plants that we are proposing actually will assist, particularly the new air filtration equipment, will result in an even better solution in regard to dust and the noise. The plant presently can operate 24 hours a day, and that presently does comply with the noise regulations as found in the audit report. And the noise as a result of this proposal isn't going to increase either. So we're quite comfortable that we can meet those matters, and in regard to contingencies, they can be further at the moment, the environmental management plan does provide for some contingencies, but in the event that there is, for example, an equipment failure, then those matters will be addressed immediately in accordance with the environmental management plan. But we're comfortable that the development still will be able to comply and satisfy the relative legislative requirements.
Thank you.
Member Lafanti, questions?
Yes, I have a question for yourself. It's a very similar question I'm going to have to the officers, and it also refers to essentially the controls on operating hours. There's been discussion about this in the report. There's a submission on this particular matter, and in the documents that I have here, it talks about expansion of activities at the end of 2027 to between a 3 a.m. and a 7 a.m. operation. Do you have any information in terms of the number or percentage of truck movement? I note that the Donald Veal Consulting report observes that peak traffic movements is 23 trips as containable. Do you have any information about that? And I suppose ultimately where this question is going is the intensification or changes of development as intensification of activities as discussed here, does that have, in your view or your comments from a planning perspective, impacts or additional obligations on any of the controls such as noise, dust, impact, amenity impacts? And the question that I've got to officers is, does that trigger additional planning consideration of those elements? You can answer on both of those. So similar question for both, but it's getting clarity around that in the context of what you've just provided as well as what's in there.
In regard to the operating hours, concrete batching plants are probably a little bit unique in that they will only supply concrete when they have a contract to supply concrete. So, for example, whilst it's identified that the operating hours may start at 3 o'clock in the morning, that will only be for specific contracts that Heidelberg have to satisfy. So it's not going to be all day, every day, starting at 3 o'clock in the morning necessarily. It's going to be dependent upon the contracts that are awarded to Heidelberg and the timing for when that concrete has to be supplied. So the vehicle movements are an estimate, and it may not necessarily get that high in terms of the vehicle movements. It would depend upon the contracts that are awarded and which contracts are then given to Canning Vale. Heidelberg does have a network of concrete batching plants that includes Bassendean as well as another plant in Midland. So it would depend upon where the concrete is coming for each of the contracts as to how many extra vehicle movements there are, and therefore the additional impacts. But the traffic report does identify that 20% extra in terms of those peak hours. So I just wanted to highlight that more and globally for the response. Now, your other question, dust.
My question is essentially around amenity impacts associated with those time periods, such as the 3 to 7, both in terms of movement of tracks, staff, and associated amenity impacts that would impact the residential, which I understand from the material is quite a distance away, being 500 metres. So it's really around the amenity impacts and the controls and management that you have in place on those amenity impacts, which is exactly the same question I've got of the officers.
Okay, thank you. As we've identified and detailed in our report, not all of those vehicles will be from the Canning Vale plant. Sometimes they will be, the agitator trucks, for example, will be coming from other plants and then coming to the Canning Vale plant on an as needed basis and then returning back to the other plants. So the traffic will purely depend upon the availability of the agitator trucks on site and those needed to come in. In terms of and there's a regional road network. You've got Roe Highway there, you've also got all the industrial streets. So traffic can come through the regional road network without impacting upon the residential amenity of those properties on the other side of the highway. In terms of I think was the other matter that you had addressed. You do have the highway, which is obviously a noise. There are trucks travelling and vehicles travelling upon that highway 24 hours a day. The trees, the vegetation, etc., between the plant and that residential area all assist to minimise any noise impacts. Heidelberg hasn't received any noise complaints from that plant, and it's operating 24 hours, or it has the capacity to operate 24 hours presently. So I believe Heidelberg are fairly confident that they can continue to operate without adversely affecting the amenity of those residential properties that are 500 metres away due to the distance and the vegetation.
Is it appropriate at this time, Chair, if the officers provide a comment? It's really the exact question, or would you prefer that I wait till?
I've got one question for the applicant, but I can come back to it. Please, yes, if you'd like to.
My question to the officers really is...
just to say that we've got Officer-wise Adams, Dilitano, Michael Italiano and Corwin Lau on hand today.
Good morning, officers. I won't repeat all your names. Do you have any comments in relation to the specific issue, the specific question I should say is around the additional or expanded activities, which is referred to in the report being around the end of 2027, being between 3 and 7 a.m. And there was some commentary around this being an area of potential concern. And I suppose my question, very similar to the applicant, is do you have any comments you wish to make in relation to the activities during this period, or whether or not those activities may trigger further information or acoustic reporting or even traffic reporting? It's probably less likely traffic reporting because of the nature of the road network around it, but more around probably acoustic and dust that may impact residential. Does this raise any concerns for you in the context of the proposal before us?
Good morning, guys. Yeah, thank you to the chair. Thanks for your question. Unfortunately, we did have an apologies from the DAP meeting today. We did have our coordinator in health that was meant to attend today, who unfortunately was unable to attend. Thank you for your question. Yeah, the city has no concerns, I guess, with the upgrade with the concrete batching plant. And then we're satisfied with that, with the separation distance that's going to be there from the residential properties and from where the additions to the concrete batching plant are actually taking place. With our condition settings in regards to the acoustic and I guess dust concerns, which is ultimately the amenity impacts. With our conditions, we've done it 90 days to review the dust and the noise. So that's to ensure it's going to be monitored and appropriately managed 90 days from commencement of the development. So that, along with the condition for the EMP, we're satisfied that the amenity of the residential properties won't be impacted with the increase and the intensification of the existing land use.
And just on that particular question, the monitoring records that are referred to in the documents here, obviously I'm assuming that they, and the applicant can probably confirm this as well, they would be available to agencies, whether it's TWER, whether it's the city, to review if there is a compliance issue raised.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
Thank you. Just clarifying that material is in fact the normal part that I would want understood.
Thank you.
Thank you.
To the applicant, yes.
Through the chair, yes, that type of information, the dust and the findings in terms of those conditions, yes, that's provided to the city and also available to TWER as well. So I'll just clarify with Rachel. Yes, yes.
Yeah, so the relevant agency that's available to you. Thank you. That were my questions.
Thank you. I've just got one question and it relates to condition 13. Which is regarding the landscape plan. It talks about prior to the submission of a building permit, a landscape plan being submitted and approved, but then it doesn't give a time frame for the landscape to actually be implemented in full. Could I inquire of you what your proposal is to implement in full? Is that prior to the commencement of operations?
Through the chair, yes. There's no issue with the landscape plan being implemented prior to the commencement of operations, noting that it operates presently, and so it would be prior to the commencement of full operations from the proposed development or the upgrade of the plant.
Thank you very much. If there are no further questions of the applicant at this point, we'll go back to the officers and I'll seek panel members' questions of the officers. Mayor Hall, you had some that you wished addressed.
Thank you, Chair. I've just got a number of questions I wanted to ask. First of all, how long had the batching facility been on that Vulcan Road site? Do we know how long it's actually been there for? How many years?
Good morning. Thanks for the question. So we know that a DWA licence was first issued for prescribed premises on the site in 1996. It's been operating since then.
96, so about 30 years. Second question, has the city ever received complaints regarding noise, dust, concrete overspill? And I wanted to know how many complaints have we actually received? Have they been remediated?
Thanks for the question. So we're not aware of any ongoing complaints on the site. I guess from our point of view in the planning assessment, we're satisfied that the EMP measures suitably control the land use on site, but no ongoing complaints that we're aware of.
Thank you.
And to touch on that, yeah, so we were unaware of any complaints, but the city's satisfied with the upgrades to the existing plants is going to be an improvement to the infrastructure that is there. So they're going to have provisions for air filtration equipment, and an increase in the concrete, I guess, infrastructure in general. So any previously complaints that the city has been raised by our community, we're satisfied that it's going to be addressed with the upgrades, along with the conditions as mentioned before about dust and acoustics, that the city will have an opportunity to reassess all that once it's operating as well.
Thank you. I just wanted to ask, there were 3 submissions made in relation to the application. Were any of those from adjoining properties?
So we received 2 submissions within a 500-metre radius. One was from an adjoining property owner, and then 1 submission was from beyond the 500-metre radius.
That's all I wanted to know. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Kunze, did you have questions of the officers?
No, thank you, Chair. No questions.
Thank you. Panel members in the room. Member Page?
Yeah, thank you. Just a couple. Just in relation to condition 15, would that not be better suited as an advice note?
Thanks for the question. So the condition 15's come through for our referral comments from DEWA. So typically we would just enforce those as read from the external agencies. We wouldn't normally modify them. However, if the DAP is of a view to changing it to an advice note, we wouldn't have any concerns.
Thank you. And then can I have your comments on the applicant's requested changes to conditions 2 and 12, please?
Yeah, thank you, Madam Chair. Yeah, the city had no concerns with the modifications and alterations to condition 2 and 12. During the application, we didn't have the information on specifically what trees were to be retained on site. So when we recommended that condition, that was prior to having any, I guess, annotations on the plans on the trees that were going to be retained. So now the city received that information. So yeah, we have no objections or any concerns with those 2 changes.
Thank you. Member Lefante, did you have further questions of the officers?
No.
Thank you. I just had one in relation to my question of the applicant relating to condition 13. They've confirmed when they believe the implementation of the landscape plan will be carried out. Would the city have any objection to adding some words to that in condition 13? Prior to commencement of full operations of the upgrade of the plant subject to this application. That sort of language.
Thank you. No, the city would have no objection to those. That would be consistent with some of the other recommended conditions as well. So no concerns.
All right, thank you very much. Are there any further questions of the officers at this point? No. Before moving ahead, I will just note that we had a written submission received from Steve Walker, which was against the application at this item, and we have given due consideration to that before moving ahead. I will now move to the responsible authority report as presented in our package. And note that we are recommended to approve this application subject to a number of conditions and advice notes. Is there a mover, please, for that as the primary motion? Mayor Hall moves. Thank you. Is there a seconder for that? Councillor Kunze seconds. Thank you. Mayor Hall, would you like to speak to the motion?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Yes, I speak in support of the motion, noting, of course, that the recommendation is to approve. I also note, of course, that it's an existing use on a industrial site. I'd just make one comment in regards to the very valid concerns raised earlier around impact to residential amenity. Obviously, having lived in this area for all of my life, myself and Councillor Kunze know the area particularly well. The separation, this is one of Perth's premier industrial estates, the separation from the batching plant and the nearest residential is, in my view, totally appropriate. The separation includes 6 lanes of the Roe Highway and a very large golf course that is as close as a residential is. I have no concerns with the amenity of it. I did note comments in relation to the opening opening times. My knowledge of concreting, I hope someone who's a concreter, funnily enough, concreting is normally done. The pour occurs very early in the morning, particularly in summer, and that's just part of the process due to heat. So it's not unusual for concrete pours to occur in the early hours of the morning. I don't think, having said that there will be significant increase in movement from that site. As far as amenity goes for nearby adjoining properties, I do note that the additional silos are of the same height and dimension as those already on the site. And I do also note that Heidelberg are consolidating its operations with the pending closure in 2027 of its East Perth operations. I have no further concerns in relation to the plant. It seems that all considerations have been given due consideration, and I look forward to seeing work commence on site. And I would encourage, I understand there may be some amendments to the current motion, but I look forward to seeing work commencing on site. I support the application.
Thank you, Mayor Hall. Councillor Kunze is seconder. Would you like to speak to the motion?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Before I begin, I just wanted to ask if you'd be willing to accept the applicant's amendment as a minor amendment, given that it's simply updating the relevant plan that's as proposed. It's making the more modern plan as the relevant plan.
I think we can take it as an amendment, really.
Okay.
Yeah.
Then I'll start by amending the motion as requested by the applicant.
Okay, thank you. So you're amendment 1 is to seek the updates to those documents, moved by Councillor Kunze. Is that seconded? Member Page seconds. Thank you. Did you want to speak to that amendment?
Just to say that I believe it's appropriate to amend it to ensure that the relevant plan is within the conditions.
Yes, thank you. Member Page, did you wish to speak to that amendment?
Thank you.
Any further speakers on that amendment? Member Lafanti?
I agree with the modifications and the principle of clarifying the material that is subject of the determination and making sure that it references the appropriate material. So I am fully supportive of these minor changes.
Thank you. Any other speakers on this amendment? If not, we will put that to the vote. Those in favour of Amendment 1, that's a unanimous decision. Thank you. Still with you, Councillor Kunze.
Thank you, Chair. I speak in favour of the recommendation and the proposed upgrade of the Heidelberg batching plant. The proposed upgrade is consistent with the objectives and the intent of the general industry zone. Canning Vale is a major strategic industrial centre, and if you're not putting batching plants in these sorts of areas, I don't know where you could put them. We currently have 3 batching plants currently operating that have long existed in this precinct, close proximity on Vulcan Road. The co-location upgrading, as the applicant has outlined, will enhance the operational efficiency and compliance and make it more modern with the standards and resolve some of the issues that have been raised, especially through the consultation period. As the Mayor has outlined, Wellback Golf Course is a considerable amount of land covered in trees. I'd note that the one of the submitters in the community consultation was concerned with noise and raised issues with the BGC plant, which was located further west. That Wellback is like a whale, that's why it's called Wellback, and the proximity between that residence and the BGC site was far less, whereas here it's the widest part of Wellback Golf Course. And so I don't believe there's any issues with amenity. Likewise, the applicant has outlined how upgrading the facility and through their dust management plan, they'll deal with any dust issues that the adjoining landowner raised. And the other major aspect raised was transport. Again, as a strategic metropolitan centre, as a strategic industrial centre, sorry, the road network is built to deal with agitators and all sorts of trucks. The proximity road highway makes this an ideal site. And you drive around Perth, you see a number of batching plants like the East Perth batching plant. That is close proximity of residential properties. I don't see this as an issue here. I'm glad after many years of discussing the East Perth batching plants that Heidelberg has decided to come to the City of Canning. Thank you.
Thank you, councillor Kunti. Other speakers for the primary motion in the room? Member Page.
Thank you, presiding member. I too will be supporting the recommendation for approval. Before I speak to the substantive motion, though, I'd like to move an amendment to delete condition 15, which requires liaison with DUA about a works approval and inclusion as an advice.
Yes, so I'm happy to second that. Member Page, would you like to speak to it?
Yes, thank you. Very briefly, this requirement is covered under separate legislation and arises out of referral to a separate agency. It's therefore not required or appropriate as a planning condition. Inclusion of it as an advice note will highlight to the applicant their obligations to do the right thing in that regard.
Thank you. I concur with your view. I have nothing further to add. Other speakers on amendment 2?
I just wanted to ask a question.
Yes, Mayor Hall.
Thank you. I know the question was referred to the officers a little earlier in relation to this. I just wanted to ask them if they see an inadvertent consequence from removing the condition totally from, I believe from what I heard earlier, they didn't have a real concern with it being amended. I just wanted to know whether there was an inadvertent consequence of having it totally removed.
All right, I'll call the officers back up. Thank you. Do you understand the question from Mayor Hall?
Yes, thank you, Mayor Hall. Yeah, no concerns with that being removed. Through the DAP application, we got comments from DEWA, and the city referred those directly to the applicant, who provided a response to those comments as well. So the applicant's fully aware that they need a liaison with DEWA regarding the registration and the licensing. So yeah, the city's satisfied if that's removed as a condition and added as an advice note. No,
Thank you.
Thank you, Chair.
Thank you to the officers. Thank you, Mayor Hall. I'll just briefly speak to it. I do concur with Member Page. This matter is something under the environmental regulations outside of the planning framework that the city is looking after, and therefore the role and responsibility rests between the applicant and DWA, and ordinarily those matters are dealt with, rightly so, through an advice note rather than a statutory condition, as the city doesn't have a role in that process. So any other speakers on this amendment 2?
Can I just,
Member Lafanti?
I won't repeat the comments that have already been said, but I'll just make a general comment, and I'm conscious that this is sometimes a matter that may confuse a number of people that deal with that listen to these conversations. And my point is really that the applicant has obligations under a variety of pieces of legislation, not just DWA, and that we're really primarily dealing with matters that deal with our legislation, which is the planning and development legislation, and that changing this particular condition to an advice note doesn't alter those obligations to the applicant. It equally doesn't alter any obligations that the applicant has under any other pieces of legislation.
Thank you, Member Lafanti. Any further speakers on amendment 2? Let's put amendment 2 to the vote. Those in favour? It's unanimous. Thank you. Still with you, Member Page.
Thank you. Back to the substantive, presiding member. I agree with the city's assessment that the proposed expansion is consistent with the objectives and intent of the general industry zone. Also note that the site is centrally located within that zone, which results in a good buffer of 450 metres between the site and any sensitive land uses, and more than 500 to the specific location of the expansion. And this ensures compliance with the EPA's guidance on separation distances between industrial and sensitive land uses. Also note and agree with the findings of the transport impact statement that conclude that the expansion will have little impact on the existing road network and won't result in any safety issues. Although there were a small handful of objections received during public consultation, and noting the written submission that was received by this panel yesterday, this is an existing land use and the proposed expansion will have no additional impact on the surrounding area. The conditions that have been recommended will further ensure this to be the case. And therefore, in my view, there would be no reason not to support the application. So
I'll be supporting it. Thank you.
Thank you, Member Page. Member Lafanti, would you like to speak to the motion?
I will also support this proposal, having read all of the material that's been provided to us, listened to all of the comments that have been provided today, given due regard to the submissions in relation to this proposal. I'm satisfied that this proposal is appropriate both in its locational context on this site, given it is within industrial zone, both under MRS and LPS 42, and has already been indicated within the Canning Vale industrial area. I am quite familiar with concrete batching plants as a planning consideration, particularly concerns generated in relation to proximity to residential properties. As far as I am concerned, the material we have before us and comments provided by city officers show that this activity operate in compliance with the provisions. There are a variety of controls in place that I've already indicated today that the applicant is required to meet, and as provided in the material in front of us, there are no changes to a number of aspects that are already existing on this site that can continue to exist on this site without any consideration through this particular forum, and that include the site access is not changing, the road network access to the site is not changing. The consideration given to siting of the facility, the new infrastructure on the site to minimise the impact on the local community and to create the strongest and largest separation that is possible in the context of already an operating site. So I am supportive of this proposal and satisfied that the conditions, including the modified conditions, are appropriate for this activity. And I'm also satisfied that matters relating to impacts and mitigation actions and the reporting material is available to the agencies. This has been confirmed and therefore available for review and consideration when and if there are any issues from community to be able to deal with those immediately. And I'm satisfied both the applicant and the associated agencies have those at hand.
Thank you, Member Lafanti. I will speak to the motion. I am in support of it, but before I go further, I will make a further amendment, which would be Amendment 3 to Condition 13, which relates to the landscape completion. And after the words in the existing condition implemented in full, I would like to add the words prior to commencement of full operations of the upgrade of plant, the subject of this application, and then continue with the remainder of that condition. That is moved by me. Do I have a seconder? Member Lafanti seconds. Just very briefly, I'll speak to it. I think it is important the landscape plan has been prepared. There's obviously an importance associated with landscape, even in an industrial and a general industrial area. It provides balance, it provides amenity, and when the species grow, it also assists with a level of screening of plant, which can be quite bulky, albeit relative to the general industrial areas. So I would just like to see this condition tightened and not open-ended, and we have the consideration of the applicant that this wording would fit within the time frame of their implementation process. So I think we could confirm that through amendment of this condition. Member Lafanti as seconder, did you wish to speak to it?
No.
Other speakers on Amendment 3? If not, let's put this to the vote. Those in favour of Amendment 3? That's unanimous. Did you have your hand up? Yes, that's unanimous. Thank you. Just quickly then on the substantive, I share the views of others. This is an existing use and this is but an upgrade to it, which brings it up to contemporary status. The use is already in an industrial zone, a general industrial zone, and that is an appropriate zone for this. And the upgrade to the use, it is noted as a P use within this zone. It is a consolidation of land uses, which I support rather than a broader spasmodic distribution of uses. I have considered the other sensitive receptors, which I do understand to be at least 450 metres away, and obviously quite a buffer with the Whaleback Park there. And there are other urban environments. So this is not a use that is seen in isolation. There are other ambient noise matters arising from road and other urban development in relation to those residential areas. I'm comfortable that the dust, the noise, the odour, that can all be managed and controlled through planning conditions and also through environmental regulations, and can see no reason to refuse this application. So I am in support of it, as we have proposed to amend those conditions. With that, I will refer back to Mayor Hall as the mover for right of reply and to close debate.
Thank you. In the absence of any argument against the application, I have no further comment. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I will therefore put the substantive as amended to the vote. Those in favour? That's a unanimous decision. Thank you. That draws us to nearly the close of our agenda. We have no Form 2 applications in this part, no Section 31s in this part. Other SAT applications and Supreme Court appeals can be viewed on the report on the DAP website. I'll then move to meeting closure, and there being no further business, I'd like to thank Mayor Hall and Councillor Kunze for their attendance, panel members Page and Lafanti, the city officers, presenters and others in the room, and the Secretariat for their amazing work all the way through the year, and wish everybody a peaceful and safe holiday. See you all in 26. Thank you.
Thank you. Merry
Thank
Christmas,
you.
everyone.
Merry
Bye.
Christmas.
Meeting closed at 10.